It's the most important thing. Thomas Tuchel will be very pleased with that.
Yeah, 100%. It was a tough game, and I think when we started scoring the goals, they started playing better. Like, obviously, that happens when you concede, you're going to go out to attack, but they started using their extra man in those little slots that they were finding him in, but defensively, we were so good. Like, Chalobah, the first game that he started, he was really good. They didn't really want it with Reece James on that side, so it was Cucurella's side where they were really coming over. But I think just as a team, you know, it was a really resilient performance up until the last minute as well. It was a great team performance.
I think we're going to say resilient quite a lot in this, because that's the perfect word, isn't it? You know, to really dig in and show character, and especially being down to 10 men as well and all sort of chipping in. It's always tough for, especially, I know we keep talking about it, I don't want to trivialise it, but in terms of the heat as well, early season, you know, the demands on the players are that much tougher at this point of the season. But a really, really solid Chelsea performance, and one that we'll be pleased with.
That'll mean so much to the boys getting 3 points from that scenario, being 10 men down, playing for over an hour with 10 men down as well, to go and then go 2-0 up, and then even when you did concede to go 2-1, you then managed to seal it out. Chelsea over the past few seasons have been in those kind of scenarios before when they were leading 2-1. I particularly remember Brighton, or they were drawing and they might have conceded last minute. Only you have to look back to maybe a couple of weeks ago with Spurs. And that was strong today. That was a strong team performance. Everyone out there put the hard yards in. I mentioned numerous times I was watching it that Kai Havertz was running that channel. Not an easy job to do. When Cover came on, did a fantastic job. Rubens, therefore, was fantastic. A lot of players did really, really well today. And they can be proud of themselves. Like that, like it wasn't a 4-0 win, sure, but that was a hard-fought win.
Absolutely right. It's one of those, and we've mentioned this a million times on the show over the years, but it's one of those games, Sam, where you want to look back and just have a tick next to it. You know, you don't want to look back in 6-7 months and go, if we'd have got something there. So the fact that you've got something there, you can move on from it. The performance doesn't need to be impeccable. There could be moments that you can improve on, but at the end of the day, if you get 3 points against a tough test like this Leicester City side, they'll get better, we'll get better, and the next time we play, it'll be one of those, I'm glad we got 3 points in the bank from earlier in the season.
Yeah, and being honest, like, when we went 1 man down, we knew it was going to be a tough game. So if it was a draw, like, it wouldn't have been the best result, but we would have been understanding because, like you said, the heat, like, the scenario, it doesn't play in our favour. But to go and seeing us dominate and also, like, overload them in certain areas where Cucurella assisted the goal, where Reece James assisted the goal as well. We were moving the ball so much faster in the final third, and that's where we said that's where we need the magic. And Raheem Sterling obviously getting his first and second goal, the chance that he had in the second half where it hit off the post, brilliant save from their keeper as well. But just that resilience, obviously, like I said, we're going to use it so much, but honestly, you could see that in the performance in each and every one of them. And like you said, Loftus-Cheek, what a game from him. Like, yeah, it was amazing. So
true. And we speak about that versatility all the time, but we saw Thomas Tuchel deploy a bit of a different system today as well, playing a 4 at the back instead of a 5, and that's the sort of the hybrid role that Ruben plays, because whether he's wide right as a wing-back or whether he's sort of in that central midfield, he's such a presence, he's such a calming presence on the ball, but he gives you so many different aspects of the game that you can't really find in many other players because he's different, isn't he? He's brilliant.
Yeah, I think Ruben's so versatile, and today we're seeing him use his attributes so well, his strength, his willingness, his power to push forward. There were so many times today when we were at 10 men and we were trying to get out of their pressure on us. He was able to beat the man and kind of charge our own attack. And yeah, he was fantastic for that. I think he's so usable in multiple positions. I think Thomas Tuchel, he said before he loves him. I think he said previously that he knows the skills that he has. It's just about motivating him and making sure he's doing it week in, week out. We saw against Spurs how great he can be, and today I thought was a really, really mature performance from him as well. Because he is one of the older guys on the side now as well. He's not like 29 or anything like that, but he's getting towards becoming one of the most experienced players in that side. And it would be good to, see him continue this same form. And as for us playing 4 at the back for the first 20 minutes, thought it was a really good start, one of our better starts in that formation. And so hopefully it's something that we do maybe try a couple more times.
Let's have a little look at that a little bit closer up in the formation, because like you said, obviously we start with a 4 at the back. We've seen a 3 at the back system, but quite a lot of people having their say online for this. It's been 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes as well.
It's true though, isn't it? Because that's the question that you're asking. And if you're so used to seeing Chelsea play a 3-4-3 and then go to a 4, the opposition have got to answer those questions on the pitch in real time, and that makes it another one.
Well, I think the thing is we are so set on how formations are, where you have to be in this 4-2-2-2 or you have to be in a 3-5-2, whereas I actually think for players, for managers like Thomas Tuchel, for Pep Guardiola, for all these guys, it's not as fixed like that. It's very much like in an attacking way, you're in a 4 at the back, and maybe when you're defending, we are going to a 3 at the back, and you're having your wing backs drop in. Football, I think nowadays isn't about being like 4-4-2. That's the position. Do not leave your role. You've got this zone where you occupy it. It's now so much more fluid, and you see it in our attack with Sterling dropping out into the middle, or Havertz dropping out to the left, and Mason or whatever it might be swapping in and out, and even Reece James at right centre back bombing forward and going into attack. And it's so fluid nowadays. So I think when people are getting a bit fixated on being like, is it 4, is it 3? Like it actually doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter because the players are so fluid. Like it can be both within the space of 5 minutes.
I think it's a really good point, and I think Reece is key to that, isn't he? Because when he plays at right centre back, he's not a centre half, is he? Still, you know, he wants to get forward more. He effectively plays like a wing back on the right of a 3, you know, and he gives you that different dimension, that different aspect to a game. And when you've got players that can do that and can quite easily change from a wing back to a centre half role, or tuck in a little bit deeper if we're needing to sort of nestle down for 5 or 10 minutes, that's so important to have that. And when Thomas Tuchel trusts them to make that decision on the pitch as well, even if, like Zach said, we start as a 4 or a 3, you judge the situation. That's why they're elite footballers, because they can read the game as good as anyone.
Yeah, and that's why, like you guys said, Tuchel prides himself on having like a versatile team, players that can play in different positions. When we went down to 10 men, you can almost see that there wasn't a panic, because there's players that can drop in, there's players that can do that quite fluidly, so you're not really panicking. Obviously, having a man down isn't beneficial, but at the same time, Havertz, because he works so hard, and Tuchel spoke about it at the beginning of the game, it almost doesn't feel like that unless you're in our final third and then you see that extra man. But at the same time, you can see in games like today where once it works and it clicks, it makes a lot of sense. And once we obviously going to have 11 men next week, it's going to be even better.
Absolutely right. And obviously, quite a lot of people having their say on Raheem Sterling's first 2 goals in Chelsea blue. Fantastic performance from Raheem Sterling. He's been sensational in all of Chelsea's games so far. He's been desperately unlucky not to have scored already. We've had a couple of goals chalked off for him, but this is a nice one here. He's the 3rd player in Premier League history to score for Manchester City, Liverpool and Chelsea, after Nicholas Anelka and Daniel Sturridge. Again, names that it's nice to hear again, but Raheem was fantastic. That Reece James goal, Reece James assist, the amount of times we've seen that ball in from Reece, and it was crying out for Raheem Sterling to get on the end of that. And this season, Zach, I think we'll see that quite a lot more. I think
you'll probably hear, it's a Raheem Sterling goal from a Reece James assist quite a bit this season. Yeah, you're right. That was a brilliant ball in from Reece James. The play beforehand as well was really nice. It came from Jorginho taking it to the right. Him a little bit from Ruben Loftus-Cheek getting involved and Kai Havertz getting involved. That's a guy that we've been looking for a little while, and that kind of in-the-box poacher finish from that right-hand side into the left-hand side. We've seen that so much from Reece James in the past few years, and I think that won't be the first time or the last.
Oh, and it's also a sort of a carbon copy of goals you've seen him score for Manchester City. Raheem's been doing that for years. That's his 111th goal in the Premier League, equal to Sadio Mane, which, again, we see Sadio Mane as like a goal scorer, an out-and-out goal scorer for Liverpool. Raheem Sterling's been doing that so consistently for such a long time. We spoke about Aspi at the start of the show, saying about how his consistency at that level. Raheem Sterling has got another 7, 8, maybe upwards of nearly 10 years still left to play at this level, but he's been doing it for so long, so consistently. Chelsea got such a good player there.
No, 100%. I think when we signed him, I was so excited, almost because I didn't expect it, but having such a world-class winger and forward in our team, a player that demands so much from himself. You hear in these interviews that he wanted that next challenge. He wanted to stay at that level, and you can even see here when he misses the chances, it means so much to him. He wants to continue scoring. He wants to, lead by example for the other youngsters that he knows are now looking up to him. I saw Chukwuemeka on the bench next to him, giving him a tap on the back. Like for me, that would mean so much to sit next to Raheem Sterling. Do you know what I mean? Someone that you can learn from. You can almost like take that energy and put it into your own game. So yeah, Raheem is a great player, and I'm sure he's going to score way more goals.
I'm excited. That's the excitement, isn't it? Like Sam said, when you're getting one of the best in the world arrive at a football club, all you want is for him to feel comfortable and him to feel settled, and he already seems like such a big presence and such a big influence on this Chelsea team. Yeah, in his prime age as well, only 27 years old. Like, it's a guy who's, we've seen, been influential for Man City, been hugely influential for England as well in the Euros, and probably will be in the World Cup going forward. Yeah, it's a nice transition because he's here, it feels like he's going to be here for a good few years, 5 or more possibly, which you'll then see by the time or towards the end of that, Mason
and Kai and these guys also reaching 26, 27 years old, the age when he joined. And so it's a nice kind of transition in between, because obviously you've got the really, really experienced heads in Thiago Silva and Koulibaly that we've brought in. So for someone like him, he'll be here being able to help guide this attack and influence this attack for years to come.
You mentioned Thiago Silva. Sensational again
What a
today.
player.
Run it back, everything we've said before, phenomenal, absolutely sensational. And again, rightly so, he gets credit every time he puts in these performances. But we are now getting to this N'Golo Kanté level of being so desensitised to how sensational he is, how timeless he is. Phenomenal player, Sam, and so important again today. He makes things, he stops things before things have even begun, and I think that's a credit to him that he never looks flustered. He never looks like he's a yard behind. He looks like he's seen things before players have seen things, and they're the ones that are sort of making things happen.
Yeah, like we could do an episode on just praising him and going through his highlights of when he's read the game where normal defenders, they would struggle. Someone at his age, 37 years old, and I don't like talking about that too much because he doesn't really look like he's 37, but honestly, he's such a commanding leader. Like, you can tell Chalobah, he feels at ease when he's playing next to him. Cucurella as well, someone that's new to this team, is feeling at ease. When he's on the ball, the passes that he's finding, his range of passing, also in the opposition box as well, he's a nuisance. He's everything that you want from a centre-back and a leader. And I'm just so happy that we've got him, firstly, but also the fact that there's younger players that can learn from him and that can gain that experience from playing alongside him. And he's game smart as well. Like, in the last few minutes, when the pressure, we're soaking it in, he's staying on the floor for a few more seconds. You know what I mean? That means a lot. When you're playing, it calms your players down as well. So yeah, he's such a good player.
And his vision, so he's already seen this show. That's how good his vision is. Like, we've already done this in Thiago Silva's way. He's unbelievable, Zach. And like you mentioned there brilliantly, Sam, his influence on younger players, we've said this since he's joined the club, but you can already see that. And the soaking things up and taking his time over everything, that's experience that you can't buy, that sort of top elite level experience. In a game like today, it's very easy, and we're as fans sort of getting quite agitated and you're kicking and heading every ball, to have that calming influence to get you through games and get you over the line in tough periods, especially in a game when you've played a lot of it with 10 men. Invaluable.
He always seems like the calmest player on the pitch, to be quite honest. I mean, Thomas Tuchel came in, Thiago Silva was already here, and I'm sure just seeing him there would have put a smile on his face, just knowing exactly what he's going to get in week in, week out. The performances we watch week in, week out are incredible. I mean, if I was a young defender, if I was a 21-year-old defender, say, like, I'd be very, very excited to possibly be playing next to someone like Thiago Silva. And there's a great future for the guys that are coming through where they can learn from him, because he really was one of the first modern-day centre-backs. Oh, he's 37 years old now. For when he was playing at AC Milan originally, he was one of these first guys that were maybe not necessarily all about the physicality and trying to win every header and be physical with the defender, the striker, but playing smart and judging every ball and passing the ball and maybe happy to drive forward with the ball. He has been fantastic, and I mean, we had David Luiz, his Brazilian partner at the Bridge, for years, and he was obviously done fantastic things for Chelsea. But Thiago Silva, man, like, he's only been here for a few years, and I think he's already feels like, I know we say legend quite a lot, but he does feel like a legend. He really does.
He is. He's an absolute great at this football club already. You're absolutely spot on. Just carrying on from that as well, because there's so many players that come in and do make an impressive impact. Today feels like maybe it's one of those games where you kick on from. You know, obviously the first game of the season at Everton, you can't really gauge too much from the first game of the season. Quite a lot. Brilliant result away at Goodison Park. A difficult draw in the end against Spurs, you know, one that we didn't deserve, really. We deserved to win the game. You know, we were on top for a lot of it, a 94th minute equaliser. Last week's disappointment. Today, to show the character, all the narrative around it, you know, going down to 10 men, etc. It feels like maybe this is the starting point, isn't it, for Chelsea to really kick on? Yeah,
definitely. You could see, like you said, the mentality, the resilience, but also the togetherness from the team. You know, there was losing a man in the first half is never easy, but Mendy made big saves. You know, there was big tackles. The midfield were by person, like you said. Ruben Loftus-Cheek was almost soaking in that pressure and taking it on his own shoulders. We saw that with Reece James, Cucurella, who haven't really spoke about in terms of getting the assist, but he's getting forward really well, and he's becoming one of those options that now opposition defenders are going to have to worry about his output. And
so lucky not to get another assist as well.
Yeah, he got an assist as well, so they're going to have to worry about him. And Havertz, Tuchel spoke about how hard he works, constant constantly working. He's not thinking about all of the narratives around him. He just wants to put in the effort for the team. And I think he spoke also about how this team is so together, like in training and in the dressing rooms. And that's what you love to hear. And when you see it in games like this, it's just like, you can understand, like you said, we're going in the right direction.
Sorry, you were saying.
I mean, I was going to say, Kai Havertz, like, doing that position today where you're doing a lot of running, Raheem's had to kind of drop in a bit to help out the midfield. Obviously, you're 10 men down, and you're really the only outlay, and you're having to go up against Johnny Evans, who's a physical defender, and putting you under pressure. And as you mentioned, already having had spoken about, like, the goals and assists, all this kind of stuff, that was a really solid performance from him today. A mature performance, to be quite honest. Being able to put yourself in those battles and willingly run the lines, because that was a lot of effort for him today, and I think he did a good job, especially for someone who's considered like a technical player and someone who likes the ball at his feet and that, and he was having to do a kind of bit more of a physical job. Important
to get minutes from Mateo Kovacic and Christian Pulisic coming on as well, Aspi. Now the season really does kick on. You know, we've got a game in 72 hours or whatever it is against Southampton, and then it feels like Champions League starts the week after, and so then we're playing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, etc. for the next however long. So it's important now to get those players in, get minutes in, and even the 20, 25 minutes, or whatever, you can't rush him in, but at the same time, he didn't miss a beat, never does, Mateo Kovacic, when he came on. Yeah,
and we've said it from the start of the season that this is going to be a long season. Obviously, we've got the World Cup as well. Games are going to be coming thick and fast, so you're going to need everyone to, you know, put in the work together. And like you said, when Kovacic and Pulisic came on, they almost eased some of the pressure. Pulisic had a few periods in the later stages of the half to, you know, just ease that pressure. And I think it's just about confidence and also knowing that they're part of a team that wants to challenge on all fronts. So there's going to be game time. There's no need to worry in a sense for that. And we just need to win games, and that will win you trophies, and defend solidly and will be good.
And also the selection headaches that Thomas Tuchel will now have to do, because Trevor Chalobah, I thought, was fantastic today. You know, he steps in, given his opportunity, took it brilliantly well. Kalidou Koulibaly will come back into contention in the week, and then all of a sudden if we're playing four at the back, there's only space for one. We spoke about Thiago Silva being immovable, so maybe it's him and one more, but that's a good position to be in for Thomas Tuchel, especially.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, for players, it might be a little bit tougher, fighting for your position, stuff like that, but for Thomas Tuchel, having a selection headache is a good thing. And as you just mentioned, there's a game in 72 hours on Tuesday against Southampton, then there's a game on the weekend, and the Champions League starts. Like, there's going to be minutes available, and, like, as sad as it is, throughout a season as well, players pick up injuries, you're going to get your chance. And it's not going to harm you if you're performing like that, as you did against Leicester, and having a solid defensive display. So, yeah, as Sam kind of mentioned, like, there's going to be minutes available, you'll get them, and it's up to you whether you're going to take your chance.
Absolutely right. Still plenty more to come. As we said, it gets busy now, right here on the Fifth Stand-Up, not just for the players, but for us as well. So make sure you join us for it. Lots to come. We can see some of the players warming down there, getting a last-minute run-through. But tomorrow afternoon, make sure you join us for this one. It's never a friendly when it's Chelsea Spurs, but it is technically. The women's team back in action. Make sure you join us for 1:50 for that one. And then Tuesday evening, Matchday Live, 7 p.m, as Chelsea travel to St Mary's. And then next Friday afternoon, Thomas Tuchel back in front of the press, speaking ahead of a London derby next weekend. That's going to be an exciting one. OK, boys, so we know how this works now. One word or phrase to sum up today's match. I have a feeling we've already mentioned one that's going to be...
Resilience. Resilience.
I'm going to put a hyphen in the middle. Hard work.
I knew you were going to say that.
OK.
Hard working.
Fine. I've not got a dictionary, so I'll allow it. I don't think that's right or wrong, so I'll allow it. Boys, brilliant as always. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for watching. We got there in the end, didn't we? 3 points in the bag, and our first win at Stamford Bridge secured this year. Thank you for watching.